Bonsai Bloke here. How you going? Today I'm going to do some work on this ash tree. Going to do some carving out on it. I think it's been collected for about 3 years. Been 3 years in this container. Probably needs a repot, but for now I'm going to do a bit of carving on it. I probably should have already done it because, as you can see, there's already shooting in spring. Just gone into spring now. As you can see, just gone into spring. Decided to get rid of my woolen coat, my beard, my hair. So be a bit chilly for a while, but should be right. So yeah, I'm going to carve it out. As you can see, there's already a hollow in here a little bit, and it's hollow into here through the top. Did a little bit of previous carving on that, but with my Dremel. But now that I've got this new toy here, I'm going to get a bit more severe on it. I'm not exactly sure what my plan is at the moment, but basically this top bit here has live veins going from both underneath this hole and both on top. Now I thought about taking the top out, but then I thought maybe that wouldn't improve the taper too much. Then maybe it would, I don't know. Or I can take the bottom out and leave the top connected to this stuff. There's also a branch in behind here that I want to be able to see through from the front. The front will probably be somewhere there. I also want to hollow it out here a bit so that this side branch, which is almost at the back from that angle, starts to look more like, you know, part of the front. So I might hollow a lot of that out and have sort of a live vein going out to this branch over here. But all the time you've got to be careful that you don't take off too much sap flow up to the top of the tree, although with this much of a trunk you can take a fair bit out because there's not supplying much up here. I haven't really styled the tree much yet. I've just sort of chopped it all the time. This branch here might completely go because it looks a bit ugly and it sort of fights with this one, which will probably be the apex. The apex will probably end up being out here somewhere, and then I'll just fill it in with branches everywhere. Yeah, just get to work carving it out. It's going to be a bit of a challenge for me. Sort of bitten off more than I can chew maybe, but we'll see what happens. Do a bit of carving. Yeah, so I'll get into that. I'm not normally a fan of the ash tree because their leaves are very hard to deal with, and I just normally don't grow too many of them. But I've got this stump. I don't know how old this tree is, but it's got really corky bark on it, so I don't know. I never collected the stump, I bought it like it is. So yeah, I'll just get into it, see how she turns out. Thought I'd just give you a bit of a close-up of the trunk before I start and give it a bit of a spin. There is a possibility of having this as a front, but it sort of leans away from you, so that's not ideal. So I don't think it will be. As you can see, there's a hollow which goes right through. Yeah, so there's the hollow from the other end. Some of the old bark. As you can see, it's nearly half as thick as my finger there. Yeah, so I'll get into it anyway. Well, that's the carving pretty much done for now. I've pretty much hacked the crap out of it. Hollowed it out a fair bit. I used 2 bits. I used that big carving bit, and then I also used the router bit in the die grinder. It seemed to work pretty well. If you're really keen, you could put a small fine bit in there and do some more detailed work on the wood, but I don't know, time does that anyway, so I've got plenty of years left in me, I think, so I'll just let time take care of that part of it. Another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lift up, when I repot it next year, I think I'm going to lift it up sort of on that sort of an angle. Hopefully you can still see that. I'll just have a look. Yeah, so that's sort of an angle I'm going to lift it up on, and that. Yeah, so with the carving, it was a reasonably straight trunk, but I've managed to be able to get a bit more interest in here, and this here was straight, just a big stump like that. Now, I think you'll see that there's a fair bit of interest and shape in that now. I haven't done much carving in my time. It's actually quite a simple process really. You just start hacking away at it wherever you think. But yeah, basically you want to carve taper and character into it. And see, and now you have a live vein coming up here, which will feed this branch here, and also the apex up here. Plus, there's also a live vein that still wraps around the back here, which will create more interest around here, which will still feed this top apex as well. So yeah, I don't know, you just sort of play around and drill some holes in it, hollow it out, and whatever you end up with, you end up with. I mean, if you got really desperate and you wrecked the whole thing, carving it out, you could even carve all this back to a taper here and just use this as your tree. There's no real science to it, you just get in there and start hacking at it. Now that I've done that, the next job, I don't know if you've seen my other video, but my other video I tried to burn it with a burner, and because the wood's still quite wet, it doesn't really burn properly, and you got to be super careful not to burn the live veins and the foliage and stuff. So I've decided on this one I'm going to use a bit of wood stain. I'm going to use a water-based wood stain, which doesn't actually affect the tree. So yeah, I'll use some water-based wood stain, some fairly dark stone, because this is deciduous tree. I don't want it to be white wood, I want it to be dark. And yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and stain it now, and then I'll get back to you and we'll do a final look at the tree. But I'm pretty happy with the carving. That was probably about 2 hours of carving, I reckon. Yeah, you could be a bit more careful and take a bit longer, but I think that's a good start. I can always get back in there and do a bit more later if I want to. You don't have to do it all in one go. So yeah, I'm going to stain it and get back to you. Okay, well I got the water-based stain on after doing all the carving. All the carving's finished. I've got the basic bones of the tree set now, so good time to do it before you get too much branching and foliage on there, because otherwise it becomes very difficult to get your carving tools and die grinders and stuff in there to be able to do that sort of a thing. Yeah, so yeah, that's about it. The plan for the future, I'll have to, you know, obviously get some branching and stuff out. I'll just do a bit of a close-up of this tree for you. It'll be on a new planting angle when I put it in a different pot. As you can see, I've got the chock under there to put it on the new angle. Show you a bit of me carving. As you can see, I've hollowed the thing right out. Pretty hard in this light to see properly, but it's all hollowed out and carved out to create some interest in the trunk. Hollowed right down the trunk. As you can see, that goes all the way down the trunk there, hollow. You've still got a live vein on top here, and also one that wraps around underneath there for the main apex up here. This one here still connects along here down to the bottom. Always, when you're carving, always make sure that you leave enough of a live vein there to be able to feed the tree. Yeah, there's another hole down here. Yeah, so that's it for the carving and the stone. So the stone will dry and won't look quite so obvious. It'll hopefully blend in a bit more in time. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching.